Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 394, April the 9th, 2018, Monday. It is Monday. Well, let's see what we have here. Yes, on Sunday morning, Trey Gowdy was on Maria Bartiromo Morning Future show, and she talked to him about quite a few of the issues regarding the DOJ and the FBI withholding documents. The 1.2 million documents specifically requested by Goodlatte is what they were talking about. And so there was a couple things that Trey Gowdy pointed out here. Of course, he still says that he believes they need a special counsel because he said that the Inspector General and I guess Mr. Huber will not interview people who are no longer with the FBI, the DOJ. That would mean, of course, everybody who would have been involved, practically everybody. Obama, Lynch, Rice, Rhodes, Powers, Comey, all these people who are no longer around, Yates, would not be able to be interviewed. So that's the main reason he gave. But there's other reasons as well. Now, he also mentioned something else that I myself have mentioned over the past couple weeks, which is that another option you have is to defund the FBI and the DOJ. It is the FBI and the DOJ who were created by the Congress, and they're funded by the Congress. And there is a specific individual who is the guy that signs off every month on the money allocated to the DOJ and the FBI. And he works underneath the Congress. And they could simply send him an order saying, hey, do not send the funding this week. Or they could just simply not even send him the form, I guess. Either way, they can shut off funding. There's really three things that primarily that they can do right now to Rodenstein and Wray and even Sessions if they want. This is the power that they have, that they never use. They've never used it before. They certainly have good reason to do it now. They should have done it in the IRS case. They should have done it in the Fast and Furious case. They did not. And they've sent a message to the DOJ and the FBI that, well, you can just tell Congress to screw off and you don't have to worry about it. Yeah, they'll talk a lot and make a lot of noise, but they won't actually do anything. And that's the problem. And that's why they must act now. Because the first thing they can do is they can go to a federal judge, a federal court, have a federal judge issue a court order. And in fact, they could probably get a court order to allow their own investigators to go over and retrieve the information themselves. Just go take it. The second thing you can do is you can deny funding. You can flat out simply not fund them until they produce the documents. They also have the power to do that. But they also have the power of impeachment. They can impeach a cabinet-level official and any official within the bureaucracy. They can impeach Sessions. They can impeach Rodenstein, and they can impeach Wray. You need a majority, a simple majority in the House and 2/3 in the Senate. I don't know if they'd get 2/3 in the Senate, but even getting to the vote, and they'd probably get about 50 votes, but I don't know if they'd get, the 65, 66 votes they need. So, but still, going through that process would be horribly embarrassing. And I think that you do all three. I think that tomorrow morning, Goodlatte should go file in the federal district court and go ahead and file the papers there. He should also contact, they should also contact this guy who actually is in charge of moving the money into the DOJ and the FBI according to their budget. Contact him and say, don't move any more money to the FBI and DOJ, period, until they comply. And go ahead and go ahead and have the vote. I'd do all three this week. Do all three. Make sure that they know it's serious business. Rodenstein has got a lot to hide. And we've talked a lot about Rodenstein, and he is the primary person that's holding this up. And it's embarrassing. Trey Gowdy said, yeah, well, they told Goodlatte that tomorrow morning, Monday morning, he can expect another 2,000 or 3,000 documents. They're giving up 1,000 or 2,000 documents at a time. The request was for 1.2 million documents. That's what the DOJ turned over to the IG. Now, I don't know why they can't just have the IG directly turn the documents over, but for some reason, he says that the DOJ has to do it. So I don't understand the complexities of it, but I do understand this. If you tell a child if they do something again that they shouldn't be doing, and if they don't stop, you're going to spank them, but then they keep doing it and you don't spank them, you just threaten them every time, but you never actually spank them, eventually even a child will figure out that you're not serious, and they'll keep doing whatever they're doing and laugh at you. This is exactly what has happened. The Congress has given up way too much of their power over the past 30 years or so. It's been going on progressively, on and on and on, to the point where there's no respect whatsoever for that body or for that branch. They're supposed to be 1/3 of the government. They're supposed to be an important part of the check and balance. They're the people's house. They're supposed to represent us. But I don't think we're getting very much representation. So yes, it is time to stop being so timid, so backward, so shy, and so inept. The Congress, House of Representatives, is a equal branch of government. It has a responsibility. It has a responsibility of oversight. The DOJ and the FBI have a responsibility to comply. They are not doing it. And it's time to quit playing with kiddie games with these guys. It's time to put Rodenstein and Wray, and maybe even Sessions, it's time to put them behind the 8 ball. It's time to let them know that you're serious. Serious. I would do all 3 of those things this week. Now, something else Trey Gowdy said that I don't think he was supposed to say. I think he slipped up. I think he slipped up. Because when Bartiromo was asking him about the number of documents, how many they've requested, how many they've received from Goodlatte's committee, and remember, Trey Gowdy is in the Oversight Committee. It's the Goodlatte's committee that requested the documents, but they work together because the Oversight Committee is kind of works with a lot of other committees all at the same time because they have oversight into just about anything, including the DOJ and FBI. So Bartiromo was asking Trey Gowdy about the number of documents that they've requested and how many they're getting and this type of thing. And in his response, Trey Gowdy says, basically that, hey, look, he says that the DOJ gave the IG 1 million pages. Now, he says, now there may be some of those pages that we can't get because maybe they're being used in some sort of a investigation. So maybe that's okay. What they can do is just, quote, take out the grand jury material. Take out the grand jury material and give us the rest. Uh-oh. I don't think he was supposed to say that, but obviously Trey Gowdy knows or has been told that there is a grand jury. Oh yeah, that's exactly what he's saying, because he said that they should just take out the grand jury materials and give us the rest. That means there is a grand jury, which we suspected anyway, and we pretty much knew, especially when we learned about John Huber. I mean, you have a an independent U.S. attorney in there, somewhat of a prosecutor, I guess you could say. He is a prosecutor. Certainly you're going to have a grand jury. I mean, the two go hand in hand. So that's what Gowdy said. Take out the grand jury material. That tells us there is a grand jury that has been seated. That's what that tells us. And it's probably not something he was supposed to say, because grand jury proceedings are typically secret. They don't tell you about grand jury proceedings. You don't find any of this out until after indictments come down and things and such. These are supposed to be secret, as are the investigations themselves. And you don't have any real leaks coming out of there, do you? Not out of that. The only thing that really bothered me about this interview with Trey Gowdy was he was wearing a purple tie again. That's the color of the resistance. That's why you see the Rotten Reverend and all her friends wearing so much purple. And it's like the third time in a row I've seen him on an interview wearing that purple tie. It's not the same purple tie, it's a different one. But it's still, he's wearing that purple tie again. Why is he suddenly wearing these purple ties? It's just probably nothing. It's just something I noticed. It's probably nothing. Anyway, so what I'm expecting in this upcoming week is possibly some leaks to be coming. Because by the time we get to the end of the week, we'll be pretty close to the middle of the month. Getting pretty close to the point where Horowitz's report should be coming out any time. Now, whenever you have these types of things come out, reports or whatever, findings and these types of things, you almost always have a series of leaks in the days leading up to that event. You'll start getting little leaks about, we're hearing that the IG report's going to be coming out, Tuesday or Thursday or whatever. And some of the things we're learning that might be in it might be this, this, and this, and this. So I expect that this week we are going to start seeing those leaks and those little news bites coming out telling us to prepare us for the IG report and also what we may be finding out from that report. So I would say this week coming up could be a fairly interesting week for news. And we should start seeing some of those leaks in the run-up to the release of the IG report. I'll look for some of that to start happening this week. And I'll be all over it. Well, Mark Meadows was on Janine Pirro's show, and he basically is also talking about impeaching Rodenstein. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, Rodenstein should have been forced to step down. He should have been forced to step down already because of his massive conflicts of interest. The fact that he's still going is unbelievable. And, of course, with that little memo deal that Mueller presented to the judge in his case against, what's his name? You know who I'm talking about. Trump's man, Manafort. Where the memo that supposedly gave them the go-ahead to raid Manafort's house, we find out that memo was written 2 weeks after the raid. So this is just another sketchy little deal that'll have to be worked out as far as when did Rodenstein actually give Mueller this authority? What authority did he actually give him, and why? These are all questions Manafort's attorneys are going to be pursuing because they're not going to let go of this. But this is just one of many things with Rodenstein, a lot of the problems. But absolutely, Mark Meadows is absolutely right. Impeach Rodenstein. This guy needs to go. He is flat out dirty. He should be investigated. He's one of the people that signed at least one, maybe two of the FISA warrants. How can he, being a guy who participated in the FISA warrants, who's directing, giving the approval to Mueller to raid Manafort, how can he still be in his role and not recuse himself when he's involved up to his eyeballs in this? He's part of what should be investigated, and he's the guy that's heading up the investigation. And Sessions recused himself because he shook hands and said hello to the Russian ambassador at the GOP convention? Boy, oh boy. No wonder we're all so angry. Uh-oh, Peter's sitting back going, man, it's Monday. I was expecting my Dumbass of the Week segment. He must have forgotten again. No, I didn't, Peter. I didn't forget Dumbass of the Week. It just was farther down on the list than it normally is. I normally do that first. But I do have the Dumbass of the Week. This is well deserving, and I think this will be this person's first time to win Dumbass of the Week. Not that he hasn't been in the mix many times, but as far as I can recall, this is the first time he's actually won the prize. So this week's Dumbass of the Week, well deserving, is Squeaky Brian Stelter from CNN. That's right, Squeaky Brian Stelter from CNN. And he wins this week based on the following comment. He says, Trump's impulsive action on border caused by his addiction to Fox News, and Trump sending troops to the border is just a PR stunt to alienate a manufactured crisis. Yeah, he thinks that Trump's impulsive actions on the border are caused by his addiction to Fox News, despite the fact that Trump has been talking about this issue for years, along with many other people. It's been a major issue for years and years and years. Squeaky, it is a crisis. Have you heard of the opioid crisis? Squeaky, where do you think that freaking opium is coming from? 90% of it across the border. Do you know who's coming across that border? Could there be terrorists? How about all them MS-13 gang members? Do you know what their numbers are for how many people they've killed, for the problems they create? The amount of money we spend prosecuting and jailing these people, investigating these people, providing legal defense for these people. Do you have any idea, Squeaky? We have over 300 to 400,000 people a year coming across that border illegally. It's taxing our systems at every level. It is a crisis. And I'm not so sure that Mexico isn't releasing people out of their own prisons and sending them across the border. We know about all the things that happen to these people who try to get here. The women who are raped, the children who are raped, the murders, the extortion that goes on, the accidental deaths that happen. It is a crisis. And we have people coming up from Central America, not just Mexico. They're flooding into the country. It's a big problem. It is a crisis, Squeaky. And Trump was talking about it long before he was ever talking about Fox News. This is common sense, Squeaky. And saying troops to the border being a PR stunt to alienate a manufactured crisis. It's not a manufactured crisis. It is an actual crisis, Squeaky. And sending troops to the border, he's only doing that because he was cock-blocked on his wall by Ryan, Big Ears Paul Ryan, Eddie Munster, along with Twitch McConnell, Madam Botox, and Chucky Schumer. They all got together and had a big laugh about how they were going to screw Trump. They left him no choice. This is the only other thing he can do. He's doing everything he can to try to stop what's happening at the border, which is illegal, and it is a crisis. Squeaky! You bald-headed little wet fart. The Syrian gas attack. 40 dead. Boy, where have we seen this movie before? Didn't this happen about 3 years ago? 3.5, 4 years ago? So Trump comes out last week and says he wants to get out of Syria. And what happens next? A gas attack. A Syrian gas attack. Killing 40 people. How about that? So if you're Bashar al-Assad and you're winning the war, you've pretty much won, as a matter of fact. You've survived 17 years of the West trying to take you out. You're in pretty good position. You seem to be getting a handle on things. Most of the really bad fighting has now come to an end. Things are starting to get back to normal. So what do you decide to do? You decide to drop a gas attack and kill 40 people, knowing good and well that what that will likely do is invite more sanctions, more trouble, and possibly a large amount of U.S. troops on the ground who will come in to finally take you out. Now, Bashar al-Assad is not an idiot. He is not stupid. What did he have to gain from this? What did he have to gain? Absolutely nothing. Does anyone out there smell a rat? Now, I hate to be the first guy to jump on the conspiracy theory bandwagon. I'm generally not one of those people. I generally wait, get all the evidence as much as I can. I certainly understand about false flags. I know all about them. Been reading about them for years, studying them. I know what false flags are and what false flags are not. However, this issue, I kind of hate to go there, but I'm struggling to find any other reason for it. I can't find a rational, reasonable reason why Assad would do such a stupid thing. Because now, Trump wanting to get out of Syria, that ain't going to happen. Not now. Not after this. In fact, we might end up back in a full-scale war in Syria. Because someone dropped a false flag attack. Do you think it might have been the CIA? MI6? The Israelis? God only knows. But there's something very, very wrong with this picture. Trump announces he wants to get out of Syria, and 5 days later, you get a Syrian gas attack. Blamed on the person, the president, Syrian Assad, who has already basically won. It's basically over. It's just a cleanup operation now. I mean, wow, this is bizarre stuff, but that's the way it is. You know, I did a video back a long time ago, a year and a half ago maybe, I don't know, on the situation in Syria and what's really going on there. What this all boils down to, in case you're not familiar with it, is that there are two oil pipeline proposals. One's called the North Stream pipeline deal, and the other is called the South Stream pipeline deal. Both pipelines go through Syria. Now, the North Stream pipeline would benefit Bashar al-Assad, Syria, Russia, Iran, and then, of course, the South Stream pipeline would benefit the West, the European Union, Israel, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and those people. So the problem here is that neither side is going to let the other have their pipeline. Because if the Russians, if the South Stream pipeline goes in, that will literally denut the Russians to the point where they will lose so much market share of providing oil to that region that it could actually bankrupt them. I mean, it'd be devastating to Russia if that South Stream pipeline goes in. So they're willing to fight to the death to keep that from happening. Also, if the South Stream pipeline goes in, then the U.S. and other forces have to be sent in to protect that pipeline. That would mean a massive increase in U.S. troops and military hardware going right through that area region of the country, which would be putting more serious pressure on Russia and their allies in the Middle East. Turkey wouldn't like it, obviously. Other people wouldn't like it. The Iranians certainly wouldn't like it. Syria would, of course, hate it. So that is really the issue. The issue going on, in fact, when you look at just about any of the issues in the Middle East, and the reason that we occupy so much of our time and money over there and put so much emphasis over there, can almost always be boiled down to one of two things. Pipelines or poppies. Pipelines and poppies. Those are the two underlying reasons for everything that we do in the Middle East. Pipelines and poppies. London, of course, has now surpassed New York City by a mile with the most murders. Far more murders now in London than there are in New York City, despite the fact that you're not allowed to have a gun in London. But these murders are happening as a result of knife attacks. Knife attacks. And now that they have that Muslim mayor over there, he's turned London into shit. Into a shithole. So now he's got a new policy. They are going to have stop and frisk on the streets of London. Stop and frisk. Looking for your steak knives. Stop and frisk to disarm you, to take away your knives. Maybe you ought to just introduce the Second Amendment to London, and that would take care of your problem, Mr. Khan. Funny video, I think some of you have probably already seen, of the Michigan Democrat Debbie Stabenow, with her and one of her aides struggling to figure out how to use an elevator. It's a pretty funny video clip. Just type in, go to YouTube, type in Debbie Stabenow, S-T-A-B-E-N, O-W, I guess. Debbie Stabenow elevator. Just type that into the search box. Watch the video. It's only about a minute or two long. It's really funny. But it tells you if these people are too stupid to operate an elevator. Too stupid to operate an elevator. Yet they're making these incredible decisions on war and peace, the spending of trillions of dollars, and everything else. Can't even operate an elevator. Hope you sleep well tonight. A Muslim woman in Houston has claimed that a hillbilly attacked her with a knife. She says she was attacked by a crazed hillbilly in a red SUV. He was skinny with tattoos. He called her a raghead, a desert monkey, and a sand nigger. Says he attacked her with a knife and that she raised her arms to defend herself and the man stabbed her in the arm. She says her artery was struck and, of course, caused severe bleeding. She had to go to the hospital. She's a nurse, by the way. But now as they're looking closer at this particular thing, they're starting to wonder if maybe she's lying. Wondering if she's lying because she said she held her hands up like this, but you can clearly see her stab wound is about a 3-inch wound on her bicep. It's right here. Also, you don't have a artery right here. You have veins, but veins don't pulsate. You know, your artery would be here. There's your artery underneath your arm right here. If you want to cause someone that kind of a problem and you've got a knife and you want to take them out, here is where you do the slash. Here, under the arm going this way. Here's your artery right here. Yeah, that would do it. Not here, in the bicep. That wouldn't work. You'd hit some veins and stuff, do some damage, tear some cartilage, rip some skin, some muscle, and some things like that. But you won't get to the artery from here, not unless you got a chainsaw and you're going all the way through the arm. No, with just a knife, you'd need to come under the arm and get the artery right here. So now they're questioning her story, but you never know about them damn hillbillies. We're some crazy sons of bitches. Yeah, every day, every time we see a woman in a headscarf, we jump out and go on a knife attack on her ass. Because we're hillbillies, and that's what we'ns do. Yes, hillbillies. I'm proud to be a damn hillbilly. Damn proud of it. South Carolina is threatening to secede if liberals ban guns at the federal level. There are 4 or 5 states that when they signed on to the federal union to join the country, actually have it in their state constitutions that if they are ever prohibited from keeping and bearing arms, they automatically have a secession written in to their agreement. They don't even have to do a secession. Just as soon as they say, we're going to come and take your guns, they can automatically secede because it was written in to their agreement when they joined the federal union. There's 4 or 5 states that have that deal. I don't think South Carolina is one of them. But keep in mind, South Carolina was the first of the southern states to begin the secession movement that led to the Civil War. They did this, I believe, in 1860. South Carolina. Maybe they'll secede. And I hopefully, Ohio might not be far behind them. Why didn't the Republicans want to investigate the charity fraud by the Clinton Foundation in Haiti? Why didn't the Republicans want to investigate the charity fraud by the Clinton Foundation in Haiti? Well, it's because it was actually a partnership, that particular charity fraud event. And that partnership was set up as you ready for this? Set up as the Clinton-Bush Haiti Fund of 2010. The Clinton-Bush Haiti Fund of 2010. So, who was it who would have prosecuted this charity fraud in 2010? Well, that would have been Rod Rodenstein. He was the Principal Deputy Assistant Attorney General for the Tax Division of the U.S. Department of Justice, which also oversaw the IRS. It was a Clinton-Bush scheme. Why does that not surprise us? Of course, Representative Mark Meadows is saying if Rosenstein does not turn over the documents, that they will impeach him. I think we already talked about that. That's the second source of that story. 2 different shows he was on talking about that. And we also have Mr. Facebook owner, Mr. Zuckerberg. Will he be in hot water for his abuse of the Facebook users' privacy? Will Zuckerberg be in hot water for his abuse of Facebook's privacy violations of the users? The answer is no. He will not face any issues whatsoever. Why is that? Well, because Zuckerberg has already given to 85%. He has given money to 85% of the members of the Energy and Commerce Committee. They are the ones that have oversight of Zuckerberg and Facebook. And besides, Facebook is a CIA front company. It's a joint data collection operation with Mr. Zuckerberg and all their friends in the swamp. In case you didn't know. Viktor Orban wins his 3rd consecutive election in Hungary. Now, George Soros put a ton of money in that election trying to defeat him. The EU tried to defeat him. They tried everything. He's been referred to as the Hungary's Donald Trump. He's a big fan of Trump. He's very similar to Trump. So Viktor Orban wins in overwhelming fashion for his 3rd term in Hungary. Well done and congratulations, Viktor Orban. 1/3 of millennials say the earth might be flat. 1/3 of millennials say the earth might be flat. Well, here's a statistic for you. 1/3 of millennials are absolutely dumber than a football bat. Absolutely, 100% confirmed. Well, an Army Apache helicopter has crashed, killing 2. What happened? Well, it took off. That's the first problem. Now, as I have told you, do not get on a helicopter. It's funny because, I told you the story a while back about Gary Powers, the pilot of the U-2 spy plane who was shot down over the Soviet Union doing a secret spy mission. This guy flew combat missions and survived all that. He survived flying these dangerous spy missions over the USSR. Even after being shot down, he survived being shot down. He survived being captive by the Soviet Union. He survived all that. Do you know how Gary Powers died? Gary Powers had become a helicopter pilot for a local news station, I think in Phoenix. He was a local traffic reporter, the guy flying the helicopter doing traffic reports for a local news station. His helicopter crashed and he died. Never get into a helicopter. And I had a friend, and this was an Apache. Hey, I had someone, when I did the story a couple weeks ago, mentioned helicopters. I had someone say, yeah, well, the Army has pretty much phased out the Hueys, which is what we generally had. He said, now they got the Apaches, and they're pretty good. This was an Apache, by the way. I don't know. So there you go, my friends. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow with more TowerGate. See ya. Bye.